The AcWeather, you haven't
Yes.
mentioned that.
Right.
Tell us about AcWeather.
AcWeather was the brainstorm of Eric Hoke. You'll find his name popping up a lot because he's been a real driving force. He's the vice president of the organization, has been for quite some time. But that was his brainchild, and he thought that that would be very helpful to people trying to catch the boats and planes when they're off, off island trying to get back, and that it would be very helpful to sailors and boaters to know what the offshore waves were and wind directions at the different buoys. And we have thousands of followers with that, so people do rely on it.
I was looking at it this morning to see what the weather's going to be like Saturday night for the Pops. It's www.acweather.com.
Correct,
Right?
yes.
And it is very useful. It also has a webcam or two on it.
It does.
And
Easy Street, etiquette,
right.
so forth, yeah.
And so it's a source of a lot of useful information as well as important information.
Yeah, good.
Interesting information. Sea of Opportunity.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit more about that.
Well, I'd have to say, my recommendation to other nonprofits is to let your strategic plan drive everything, which we have done since I've been involved at Egan Maritime. And I got that advice from some very wise people, by the way. It wasn't always my idea. But we've done 4 or 5 iterations of strategic planning. And we actually got involved in the Shipwreck Museum as a result of a strategic planning session that we hired a professional facilitator to help us with out of Boston called TPI, the Philanthropic Initiative. And then we also had talked about the Coffin School that came out of a strategic planning session, which didn't work out. But then after that, we were looking for something significant. So we reached out to the community and we surveyed the community on what the needs were in the community. And one of them was our boat building and our maritime heritage, and also careers and trades, that there didn't seem to be anybody offering that. So we went back on the first iteration and came up with boat building, repair, and maintenance. And then we tested it again in the community, and everybody said, no, that's not a big enough idea. So we went back and worked with educators, Michael Cozart, in the school system, both private and public schools, and they really encouraged us to develop a curriculum around maritime careers, trades, and sciences. Not so much Nantucket history, which had been offered before, but more hands-on, experiential, and STEM.
Sort of giving the kids an opportunity to build on the Nantucket history in real time, so to speak.
Correct. So what we found was that there was a tremendous interest in this. And so, of course, we were going to the schools, not with our hand out, but with the offer to pay for teachers. So that was a big plus for the schools, who were always struggling with budgets, not only the public but private schools. So we started the program in 6th grade, which our educators said, that's where you need to catch the kids when they're really young and absorbing everything. And it really went great for the first 2 years. And then we've expanded it now to the 9th grade, and we're hiring an additional teacher.
Is it both 6th and 9th, or is it continuous?
It's both.
It's 6th and 9th.
Right. And we are thinking about other grades, but no younger than 6th, but perhaps going into high school.
What's the science aspect of it?
Well, it's really about navigation, and it's more STEM, and celestial, and also our oceans, oceanography. And what we've done is we've taken all of the 8th graders, last year we did the 8th grade, to Woods Hole Oceanographic. We've taken a group to Mystic, and we're trying to open the kids' eyes to what's beyond the beach. I grew up here, I was born here. All my knowledge of the maritime was what ended at the shore, because everything happens out there, but you don't see it.
Right.
So what we're doing is actually learning ourselves as we go along about the vast opportunities for people in general, not just kids, in the maritime world. And there are some very lucrative jobs and careers.
And some of them are lucrative and some of them are dangerous.
And some are dangerous. Deep sea diving, for one.
The Alaskan fishing trade.
Right.
Well,
underwater archaeology.
That's right.
Things of this nature. Yeah.
Let's talk about Bud Egan for a minute, because this was his. He was the source of the funds to make this possible, and also at least in a broad sense, had the idea.
He did.
And how do you think this all fits into his goal? Would have fit into his goals And
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because nobody really knew. When Wayne Holmes pulled us aside at that room at the Jared Coffin House, Nat and I, looked at at the documents, the incorporation documents for the nonprofit, and you could drive a truck through that, as they say. But it was so. Actually, I went back to Pennsylvania, where I was living at the time, and I called everybody that knew Bud and that was close to him, who we thought might know what his vision was, because he didn't tell us before he died. And so we included people like Mrs. Snell, Georgia Snell, Walter Beinecke, who came up from Austin and spent 2 days in Pennsylvania with me to tell me what he thought Bud's vision was. So I have a lot of notes and hand cramps from that, and from writing notes. And just Bob Rosenthal and people who
were they consistent?
They were consistent in their not knowing exactly. But well, that was interesting in a way, because when you put it all together, what you came up with was, it was all for Nantucket. Bud and my Aunt Dorothy were all for Nantucket. They loved Nantucket. They hardly ever left. And everything they did really was for Nantucket. And that culminated in, when upon their deaths, whatever money was left was given to Nantucket, probably 2/3 to Egan Maritime, but 1/3 to the Dorothy Harrison Egan Foundation, which is funding medical scholarships for kids who want to go off island and learn how to be a veterinarian or a dentist or a doctor or a nurse. So they gave everything back, which is remarkable.
And it gave you and the other founding directors, so to speak, a chance to be entrepreneurial in the nonprofit world, which is unusual.
That was huge, and I think it helped us attract some really world-class trustees, because one of the things they realized was they weren't always going to have to go out with their hand out to meet the operating expenses. So essentially the draw that we take covers all of the fixed expenses, and we have never invaded principal of the endowment. So, and it continues to grow slightly. Which is a good thing.
That's good.
So we're in a unique position.
So how would you like your legacy to the foundation to be remembered?
Well, yeah, thanks. I think it's in its infancy. I think for 15 years, many of us, including volunteers at the Shipwreck Museum, volunteers at the Maritime Festival, our staff now with Pauline Proch and her great staff. People have worked so hard to get it to this point, and this point is it's very financially sound, as a very clear, concise, strategic direction, and we've been successful, I think, in delivering great value for the amount of money we're spending. And that was key for me, is to provide the maximum amount of value, because my uncle was very frugal.
We was known for that.
So I'm proud that we deliver great value for the amount of money that we spend. But I'm proud of all the things we've done. But I think I'm really proud of Sea of Opportunities, probably greatly
the
most probably, because it's impacting kids, and we've seen it. When we scholarshiped 4 kids to go on the Lynx last year, their parents came up to us at the welcome reception when they came back, and 2 of the 4 parents came up to me and said, your organization has changed my kids' lives. They have a new direction in life, and they were floundering before. And to me, that's the great part.
Bob Egan, thank you. Congratulations on a job well done, and now you've got to find something else to do.
Thanks, Dan. Thank you.